Hello, everyone. My name is Greg.
And this is Matt, and this is Record Mashup. We're excited to be joining you guys again. This is episode 2 of our podcast. And this week we've decided to tackle the challenge of dreams. And we've picked two really great, very different songs. Dream On by Aerosmith, which was released in 1973. And then Dreams by The Game, which was released in 2005. Um, as I said, two very different songs, but both centered around the idea of dreams, and we're excited to dig into it. You got anything else to say, Greg, before we jump in?
No, I think you pretty much summed it up. Two really great songs, completely different genres. With my take on the rap genre and Matt's take on rock over there. So I
Yeah,
think it'll be pretty interesting.
yeah, it'll be fun. So let's talk a little bit about Aerosmith's "Dream On." I've always liked this song. And one of the cool things about this song is it's off of Aerosmith's first album. And you always hear when you talk about Aerosmith, you always hear people talk about old Aerosmith versus present day Aerosmith, and this is classic Aerosmith. I mean, you can't get much more classic than this, and really, I think defined who the band was in many ways. Really kind of presenting Steven Tyler as this kind of front man, and so it's such a great song. I was listening back through it. What really struck me the most about this song, obviously, it's a song about dreaming and this idea that you only live once in your life, and there's the line in there, "Live your life today as if you're going to die tomorrow." I may be paraphrasing a little bit, but that's kind of the concept that the song is kind of putting forth, and all right,
So you're talking about learning on the past and things coming back to you. So
yeah, all
we're
right,
getting into going into the chorus.
yeah, okay. One of the things that I think so great about this song is the chorus. I mean, you've got this big bold, it's you know really kind of simple. Sing with me, sing for the year, sing for the laughter, sing for the tear. Maybe tomorrow the good Lord will take you away. It's just, I don't know. I kept thinking about the concept of YOLO. You only live once. That's
Thanks.
the phrase that kept coming to my mind um, as I listened to the song. So, and the other thing that I love about it is this buildup. It's like the whole song is like building up to this big pivotal moment when Steven Tyler just like screams, and then the song just kind of comes down the hill from there. But and you've got the chord progressions. It's just it's such a great classic Aerosmith song. I just absolutely love it. What you got? Any initial thoughts, Greg?
Yeah, and I agree with you. It's actually not so that uh, looking at like the records of it when it was first released in 1973, its peak position was only 59, and then re-released in 1976 with peaking at number 6 on the top 100 Billboard, so Hot 100. So um, definitely the original release, which was actually edited and shortened up a little bit. Didn't help it, but it is one of their number one songs that a lot of people know. Won't go on to that. Everyone knows it because I ran into that issue last time with
Yeah.
"Summertime." But yeah, definitely a great song that
Well, I think
really put them on
talk.
the map.
Yeah, absolutely. And you talked about not peaking that high, but talk about a debut single. I mean, when you think, because this was the first single they ever released,
Hmm.
and I mean, so obviously it stands the chance that probably, if, of course, back in the day, this is before social media and things like YouTube and stuff. And really the only thing you had was radio play, right? Or obviously records, LPs and so forth.
Yeah.
But, um, I, so to I don't know, I'm sure there were some artists and we could sit here and look it up, or some listener will probably let us know if if this is factually inaccurate. But I wonder how many artists, as their debut single, ever hit number one back in that day. I can't imagine that it was that many. So even to peak in the top 100 on your debut single back then, I would imagine is pretty substantial.
Yeah, I'm not discrediting them at all, but yeah, it's definitely a great feat. Like,
yeah.
good job, Aerosmith.
Yeah, no, great debut single. And it's a fairly simple song. I mean, it's not complex by any means.
No.
Lyrically.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the thing that makes it so great is that it is so simple, and it's just easy to sing along and jam to.
Yeah, I think the just the whole music part, the guitar, everything with it is kind of what pulls it together. So, like you said, it's a simple song, like lyrically, but like
Yeah,
very strong music, talent wise. So,
yeah,
that
absolutely.
definitely deserves its spot in the top 100 back then. So,
Yeah,
agree with
I
that.
would, yeah, completely agree. And it's actually, I'm sitting here looking, it's ranked 173rd on Rolling Stone's list of the 500 greatest songs of all time, which is pretty cool. And it's kind of cool. This is kind of a twist, but did you ever see the version that they kind of combined with Eminem's song "Sing for the Moment"?
Was that at like the Grammys or something when they like performing it together? You're saying?
Yeah, I think I don't know if they ever actually performed it together. The clip I saw was kind of like
Just
a clip mashed
user
up.
mashup on YouTube or something?
Yeah, but maybe they performed it together. I'm not
Yeah,
entirely
I'm
sure.
not actually 100% sure on that one.
Yeah, it's just the two songs like go together so well. I don't know. Think about our podcast, the record mashup. That would have been pretty cool. But obviously, "Sing for the Moment" didn't necessarily fit the idea of dreams, but
Yeah,
kind of taking the concept literally, so to speak.
but I think it gave Dream On its due diligence with like how Eminem performed that though. So I think it was a good use of the sample of Dream On for that song too.
Yeah,
So
absolutely, absolutely.
yeah, definitely has helped other people with that song. So,
So
um,
before we move on to dreams, did you have anything else with this idea or this song?
no, I think most of the other things I have are just the comparison between the two and kind of the
Yeah,
breakdown of both songs. So I can kind of roll into Dreams here. So the game, he's
great.
a rapper from Compton, California. If you haven't heard of him before, from his first album, he has a song. I believe this was actually his fifth single from the album. So it did score a little bit higher in the top 100. Um, than Dream On did, I believe. But let's see. No, it actually scored 32 on it,
Yeah,
which is higher than the first time Dream On came on. But when it came on again, it scored.
it hit number 5 on the rap charts, though.
Yeah, number 5 on the rap chart. So it was pretty good for uh, once again not debut single. Also came out 20 years after the fact, so I got a little bit of social media help there, but definitely deserved to be on that top 100 list. Goes into a lot of backstory, a little bit of backstory on him, how like the dreams he aspired to, and the people that he kind of looked up to or followed back in the day, and how they made it. So basically, he had the dream of making it like they did. So similar message as Dream On, just very different way that was portrayed. A lot more lyrically, I would say, in depth,
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
musically, um, it does take a it does take the music from another song. What song was that? That was Oh, I'm blanking on it.
I don't know, dude.
Yeah, it'll come to me. I'm just blanking on it right now, but
Did
he does take the music for it from another song, and does
did he
reference
run
it.
it? I didn't see that, Greg. Did he run into copyright issues with that?
I don't believe he did. Um,
Interesting.
there wasn't anything in that I saw where he ran into copyright issues. I know a
Hmm.
lot of artists do have these issues with copyright for sampling a song that uh, someone else had in the past,
Sure.
but this one specifically, I don't believe he did. But,
Um, yeah, so I think that it's an interesting song. I had never heard it before. So there's a trend going on here, Greg. Um,
you
um,
notice this one, I didn't say that everyone has heard this song
yeah,
before,
that's true.
so got
But
that.
one of the things that I found that was so interesting, though, was I had actually, I mean, I'd certainly had heard of songs being dedicated to people, but I don't think I'd ever listened to a song before where a song was explicitly dedicated to someone in the lyrics of the song itself. um which that concept to me is very interesting. And even throughout the whole song there's references and allusions to um other figures in history, that in many ways the song is honoring them. They references Tupac and Martin Luther King,
Hmm.
for example, as many others. And I don't know, it's just that idea of putting uh, a song out there in honor of specific people is interesting. I mean, certainly after any tragedy that occurs in our country, there's always artists that kind of write songs in response to that, and everybody knows that the song's in
Yeah,
response to that, right? It's just this ex, it's this explicitness um, of the artists, in the lyrics saying this. Like, I just find it interesting. I'm not
yeah.
trying to beat a dead horse and trying to describe it, but um so yeah. And then the other thing too, and it's starting to get a little bit into comparison here with Dream On. um there's certainly, both songs talk about, because Dreams by the Game is talking about people that effectively lost their life right before they got to carry out their dream or so forth. um it's this mindset that you really do only get one life, and you should follow your dream, whatever that is, um, and keep pursuing it. I do think that um, lyrically, at least, Dreams by the Game is a little more um, specific in describing the dreams, whereas I felt like Dream On by Aerosmith was a little
Yeah,
bit
it's more
more
generic. Like, hey,
generic.
just go figure out what your dream is and go follow it,
Yeah,
or
exactly.
whatnot. Um, yeah, before we get back into that, I did figure out who it was sampled by. So Kanye West was actually the one working on this single with the game. So he did a little bit of the mixing for it.
Okay,
And
cool.
it's "No Money Down" by Jerry Butler. That's the background sample. So
Gotcha.
give credit to Jerry Butler. I actually never had heard of him before this, but apparently he's a soul singer. Can if you're into that, you can go check him out. But
Cool.
yeah, sorry, side topic.
No, it's
back
all
and
good. Thanks.
get
Thanks for
back and
finding that.
yeah. So you were talking about with the song breakdown, like mentioning other people like Tupac and things like that. So
Yeah.
there are there are a lot of references in this song. So like let's see. So yeah, he starts it off just talking about being in a coma because he had an altercation back in the day. We'll call it where he's put in a 3-day coma.
Is that based on is that like a real life story?
Yeah, that is a real life story to him. So that
Interesting.
first line, "I
Okay.
woke up out that coma 2001,"
Yeah.
is because he had been in an altercation that put him in a coma.
All right. Interesting. I did
Um,
not know that.
and then going into talking, so Dr. Dre was like his idol back in the day. So he kind of goes into talking about him a lot throughout the song. With the Aftermath Presents NWA right there, being Dr. Dre's group, and then going into like, so this next line, the Ready to Die, Reasonable Doubt, Doggy Style, going into Biggie Smalls, Jay Z, and Snoop Dogg, and then just talking about like how he's basically trying to aspire to be them or at that level.
Yeah.
For,
So that was one of the other things.
for
Yeah,
rap.
that was. Yeah, absolutely. That was one of the things that I thought was interesting about this song was it was almost like there's two types of dreams rolled into one with this song, right? So you've got this larger idea of you living your life and you only live once, kind of wrapped into the whole song with the dedications that we talked about. But then here at the beginning, he's really almost talking about like his career dreams,
Yeah,
you know and I just think that's actually really well done that he was able to kind of wrap all that together in one single song. I
yeah,
it's really impressive.
yeah, definitely. And like so he's from Compton, so he didn't like have like this fantastic upbringing based on his life, and a lot of his music kind of talks to that, especially his like first three albums. um those are my favorite albums of his. After that, he kind of his music's okay, but it's not like his first three, where he's rapping about a lot of similar things like this. Then
Yeah.
even like going down low, like a couple lines after he talks about working with Dr. Dre, and that's a dream because like Dr. Dre is basically like who was on who was helping him out this time now,
Yeah.
and just how that was like the biggest thing that he could ever have happen to him basically. Um, there's a couple other references to other people. So throughout that, like talking about Whitney Houston, referencing some songs that she made. Stevie Wonder's making a basically reference to being blind. Um, there's a lot to break down, like just line by line.
Yeah, it's
Um,
certainly a lot more lyrically than Aerosmith songs for
yeah.
sure. And
And that and that second verse is a little bit more involved, but talking about like the women that he wants to be with, things like that. And then that second half, he goes into so this Dream being unsigned hype and crushed by Dave Mays. So Dave Mays, I don't know if you ever heard of The Source. It's a magazine, covers a lot of
uh,
like rap music and hip hop stuff like that. So he was co-founder of The Source, and unsigned hype was a section in that magazine where you're talking about like new upcoming rappers, like who are going to be like upcoming good rappers and things like that. And he basically was passed on by that, so he was a little bit crushed by that, and that's what he's talking about there. So I kind of like led him astray for his dreams, and just talking about like, hey, I just got crushed by this, like my dreams were crushed. But then um following that, he goes into more talking about, so Easy E, he died in, I think it was 1998 or 1999. He had AIDS, so he had
mm,
passed away from that. And then there's Jam Master Jay, who was another person who had been shot and killed also. So he's talking about dreaming of people who had passed away before, and then comparing sleeping to as the cousin of death. So like basically, as you're sleeping, like you're pretty much dead. You're not like doing anything, right? So you need to stay awake. So he's keeping his eyes wide open so that he can keep pushing toward his dream on that. So
yeah.
he's really focusing in, as long as you like really analyze the lyrics on like achieving that dream and just keep pushing forward.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree.
Um, And then obviously in the chorus, he talks about Martin Luther King, and that's the whole "I Had a Dream" speech. Like,
Yep.
obviously, that's pretty out there. But yeah, there's a bunch of couple more in the third verse also. So that aren't even these ones aren't even rap related in this one in this third verse.
But okay, so there was another really interesting parallel here, I think, between the two songs that comes up in the third verse. So he says a line here about studied all the classics, start revising my strategy. I think it's so interesting because one of the things that's interesting about Aerosmith's Dream On is that when Steven Tyler wrote that song, he was actually inspired by like classical musicians like Chopin, Mozart,
Mm-hmm.
artists like that. And here the game I think is talking about like the classical rap artists, right?
Yeah,
So
like rappers from
it's
the 80s, 90s.
yeah. So this idea of the classics, right? And how both writers are pulling, they view them as the classics, right? But they're very, very different musically, and I think that's interesting that these artists are pulling from what they know and 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 what they deem to be the epitome musically, at least at that point in their lives. And so anyway, I just thought that was another really kind of interesting, cool parallel and contrast in many ways between these two
Yeah, because I
songs.
mean, you have to look at like, sure, rock is pretty similar to there's things that blend between rock and rap, hip hop, R&B, um, less that blends in between rap and classical music.
Yeah.
Classical blends in with rock music.
Yeah.
Not saying it can't. You could probably merge it somehow, but like, or even like old Motown stuff, like that type of, or soul music, like that stuff can kind of blend into the rap music.
Yeah.
But like rap is relatively new. Like what the first album, like the first signed album that was put out was by the Sugar Hill Gang.
Okay.
Um, I'm sure you've heard a song by them and probably just don't know it. Um, but
You should.
that was back in, I want to say, 1970s, like late 1970s. So actually, let me look that up.
Yeah. Rapper's Delight,
Yeah,
1979.
yeah. So
First rap single to become a top 40 hit on the Billboard Hot 100.
yeah, so like it's relatively new, speaking music
Right.
wise. So
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
1979, so 1980, that's 40 years ago. Sure, seems like a while. Like I wasn't even born yet. But like music
But
wise, it's very, very new.
yeah. Although, that's not much older than when Aerosmith was coming out. Aerosmith's Dream On was released in 73.
No, but I mean
Um,
like the parallels that you can make for like classics.
oh,
Like
sure, sure.
you're saying that Aerosmith like tied it back to like classical music and stuff that goes three,
Yeah,
4, 500 years, whatever it may be. Whereas like
yeah,
rap, like when you can't go much further back than like the 1980s. Like I mean, you could probably go. There's probably something happening in the 60s, like for the birth of rap, but like actual rap as we like know it today.
yeah, yep, yep.
Because like even Dr. Dre was in like a group prior to NWA, and it wasn't like a rap group. It was I don't want to say it was disco, but um now I'm blanking on the name of the group also. But it wasn't it wasn't what we think of as rap today. Well, sorry, what most people think of as rap today.
Sure.
Um, sorry, World Class Wrecking Crew. That's what he was. So like, I don't know if you've heard of like Grandmaster Flash or anyone, or if you ever do you have Netflix?
I do.
There's a Netflix special. It's called The Get Down. It was about it was basically like the evolution of music, like right before rap, with like DJs and things like that. It's pretty fun watch. I recommend watching it if you like music. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll have to check that out.
But yeah, that's a similar type of music that I'm talking about. So having people who are like actually spinning records and things like that. Man, I don't even know how we got on that tangent, but okay.
No, it's all good.
back to what we were talking. Back to what we were talking about, but was the classical versus like what's considered a classic.
Yeah.
Um, so he makes a couple of shout outs here. So like well, really in this last verse he only makes one shout out to Marvin Gaye, who was a little bit older, around that 70s point when he was making music and everything. Because he actually died in 1984. So he didn't get to keep living on and keep producing music, unfortunately. But he had a lot of inspirational things for people to want to make music from that point.
Right.
Um, and that's pretty much dreamed by the game.
Yeah.
I know we went a lot more in depth into that than we did Dream On, just because of the lyrical depth
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah.
But
I mean, we said Dream On is lyrically, it's a pretty simple song. It's not, um, it's,
but but
it, and even its message, I would say, isn't that complex. Its messages, live your life, to the fullest.
yeah, I think from a perspective of who can relate to it, it's definitely easier to relate to the Aerosmith song for Dream On, just because it's a more broad category, whereas the game has a very um, like straightforward, direct, like, hey, these are the people I looked up to, and then like, not now I'm doing that, and I'm doing the same things that they were. So like, my dream is met, which you can also loosely apply that to whatever your dream is as well. But his is very tailored to specifically what he was looking at, not just what Aerosmith is saying is just live your dream.
Right.
So
Right.
I think both songs like have their key people that they're trying to speak to, but Dream On is definitely on a much broader spectrum of what it's trying to say.
No, yeah, I think you're right, Greg, and I think that this is they're both great songs. I enjoyed it. I obviously had never heard the song by the game, and but I'll say I enjoyed it. I mean, it's not something I necessarily know that I would listen to repeatedly again. I mean, I would listen to it again, but just it's not a song I'd put on
It's not gonna be the
cycle
first thing you
loop.
think of to play. Like,
Yeah.
hear that in the background and be like, "Oh, Greg put me on that song."
but but it was good, and and this is going to sound really terrible, but like when I'm listening to rap, I almost need the lyrics to follow along, which is I don't know. I think it's because I'm from the South and we talk a little slower down here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. I don't necessarily think that's like a bad thing. Like, I mean, even when my wife speaks Spanish, and like even when she talks to other people that speak Spanish, they're like, "You talk way too fast. You need to like slow it down." And
Yeah.
that's like majority of people that she talks to. And it's like, okay, well, I mean, same with music. If that's like it's hard for you to follow, and you gotta sit down with the lyrics because you actually want to know what they say. Like,
Yep.
there's no shame in the game, you know.
Yeah.
So
Um, but no, I enjoyed both songs. I think they were, this idea of dreams. There's so many places, songs we could have picked on this subject, um, and I think these two really do go well together, though, because I think
yeah,
that they're both sending the same underlying message, and we've talked about this, the whole episode. But um, so I think they were really a great, combo to kind of mash up.
yeah.
Um, Yeah,
I
over
didn't
this
actually
episode.
think it was going to work out as well as it did
Yeah, I agree.
when I initially threw when we were like throwing the idea around and like we picked our songs. I was like, we'll see how it works out. This will be but
But I think that's what's so cool about this podcast is we can take two songs that you don't think are gonna line up well, and this was one of them. I mean, I like you, I didn't think when I first listened to these songs, I was like, there's no way these are gonna they look they're by you've got rap and you've got classic rock, and what the heck are these two songs gonna have
yeah,
in common? And but they're sending the same message, and I think that's what's so great about music in general is that we've got all these different genres that reach different target audiences and but can still convey the same type of message, just expressed differently.
yeah,
um, and I think that that's what's so cool about music, and really any art form, but music I think is particularly excels at that.
yeah. I definitely agree with that. And like you said, there's so many other songs that we could have picked. And even when I was going through this, I was like, man, I wish I would have done this song instead, or I wish I would have done this song. And I'm like, but this song actually works out so good that there's just so many. So to our viewers or listeners, if you want a specific song or a theme with two specific songs, we can make it happen. Just let us know. Drop us an email, message, comment, whatever it may be. We'll check them out, and we'll make sure to get back to you either in an email or maybe in the next podcast, whichever it may be.
Yeah,
But there's just so much to pick from.
absolutely. And please, if you'll subscribe, but if you're listening to this and you're new, subscribe. Also, please tell your friends and family members about us. That's how we can start to grow this podcast. Greg and I would really like to see this thing start to build at least a steady base of followers. And send us any comments you have. We have an email now. Greg, do you want to tell them what our email is if they want to send us any comments?
Oh, yes, of course. So the email is recordmashup@gmail.com. Very easy. Very, very easy. So make sure you shoot us an email. Let us know thoughts, what we can do better, what we did bad. So we want to make the best experience for you guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, Greg, what we got next? What's our next episode?
Oh, let me take a look. So it looks like third show we have planned a theme of trains. Everyone loves their little train. Actually, talking about it at work the other day. One of the people in the office, their kid is obsessed with trains, apparently.
Nice.
Anyways, getting back to music. So I am going to be presenting "The Train" by Outkast.
Yep.
And Matt, which song are
Yeah.
you going to be?
We're going to talk about "The Midnight Train to Georgia" by Gladys Knight and the Pips.
Turns out, Outkast is from Georgia. Works out perfect.
Look at that.
Oh man, it's like we planned it. Anyways, yeah, it's gonna be fun, and also I'd like you to all take a look at "The Train Part 2." It's also by Outkast, so take a look at both those songs. But we'll be focusing on the first one, "The Train." It'll be a great listen. Well, listen to it on your own time, not on here. Matt, you got anything else?
No. Thank you all to our listeners, and till next time.
All right, take care.